Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy Podcast. My name is Tyler Anderson. I am your host. I'm recording this on January 16th, Thursday, very early in the morning. I'm still awake. My sleep schedule is kind of messed up right now. But as you guys probably know, if you stay tuned to the show, before the wild card round of the playoffs, we made a couple NFL playoff brackets, and I'll quickly go over those as well and see what went right and what did not go right. But I just got invited to yet another playoff bracket challenge starting in the divisional round. So I get a chance to get some redemption for some of these brackets where things didn't quite go my way. And we're going to talk about the wild card games, and then we're going to get into what I think is going to happen next. But before we do that, please make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you are enjoying the podcast, and make sure you drop a like if you can, like wherever you are watching or listening, such as YouTube. You can head over to the Fantasy Football Prodigy channel and see my beautiful face that kind of need to take a shower. I just went on a walk. So without further ado, let's get into what I think is going to happen for this next round. We're going to review the wild card round very briefly. So this little thing that I'm using to make the playoff bracket, by the way, for whatever reason, it still has the wild card rounds in there. So ignore that. Okay. So actually, as we're going through this, I'm just going to pick the winner of each, of these games that comes up in the wild card round, so that the bracket is accurate from that point on. But our first game here is the Bills hosting the Broncos. Obviously, the Bills got that win. It was a close game kind of to start for a little bit, but then the Bills kind of turned it on as the game went on. This didn't surprise anyone, I don't think. I thought the Broncos were kind of a dark horse team, pun intended, to make some noise, but the Bills are just a better team, and it's hard to beat Josh Allen when you got a rookie quarterback. But I think the future with Bo Nix is very good. I tried to trade up for him in a dynasty rookie draft in like the 4th round to take him in a single QB league, and I wish I had. But we got the championship in that league anyways. I'm gonna take every opportunity I can to flex that dub. But so the Bills won that game. The Ravens destroyed the Steelers. I don't want to say destroyed. They won by 28-14. The Bills destroyed the Broncos 31-7. But this game really wasn't close. Like the Ravens were just kind of in control. And I don't have any brackets with the Ravens making the Super Bowl. And honestly, I have another chance at it. I might go ahead and do that. But this was really the biggest surprise out of all the games. So I made 4 brackets. I believe, in all 4 of them, I picked the Chargers, I'm pretty sure. I think I picked them in all 4 brackets. So I expected them to go into Houston and easily beat the Texans, but that did not happen. Houston got the win. The score was 32-12. Like, it wasn't even close. So props to Houston. And they got the win there. Okay, so now we're going to jump into the AFC divisional round and on. So that was a little bit of a recap of the wild card round of what actually happened. Now we're going to get into what I think is going to happen in the divisional round and on for the AFC. Then we'll move on to the NFC. That's just the format of this playoff bracket maker. So Chiefs at home versus the Houston Texans. Andy Reid coming off a bye week at home. I know the Chiefs don't look as dangerous as they once did, but I am going to go ahead and pick them over the Texans. I think, it's a good story that the Texans won a playoff game, but I think it stops here in Kansas City. I would pick the Chiefs, 99 times out of 100 here. So this matchup right here is one of the tougher ones. The Bills at home versus the Baltimore Ravens. Both teams kind of throttled their matchups. And honestly, it is tough because if you take a look at my other brackets here, we'll take a look at this first bracket. So I'm a Vikings fan. I did make a homer bracket where I had the Vikings going to the Super Bowl. I had them facing the Buffalo Bills and the Vikings winning. So if the Bills win the Super Bowl, I'm going to be kind of frustrated because this bracket has them making it, but losing. So that's kind of annoying. Other than the Vikings winning, like I had the Commanders pick right, the Eagles pick right, the Bills and the Ravens pick right, but the Chargers pick I got wrong. So that's just one thing to note. That bracket's kind of probably screwed over now that, you know, the Vikings are out of it. And then my other bracket that I made that we went over in the last video, we have the Lions winning the Super Bowl over the Chiefs. So I did make a third bracket off camera that I can show you too, where I had the Chiefs winning it, but you know, it's a pretty good bracket other than, again, the Chargers, and in this one I picked the Bucks instead of the Commanders. So, oh man. And I have the Bills going to the AFC championship game in this. So in both my brackets, I have the Ravens losing in the divisional round that we did on camera. I will say in this third bracket that I did here off camera, I have the Ravens over Buffalo, but then I have the Chiefs beating them, and then the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl over the Lions. So maybe I should probably make a bracket where the Ravens make a run, because I do think the Ravens are a team that I don't have too many, like, I don't have a ton invested in them in terms of like brackets. And I think that, I don't know, man, they've gone and failed a few times with Lamar to the, you know, to the playoffs. And I feel like they get a little further every time, and maybe this is the year where they make the Super Bowl. So, and then this is the fourth bracket I made. This isn't in a tournament or anything or anything like that, but I just made it for fun. And I made one where the Eagles are winning. I just, over the Chiefs, I just think they have a chance to win, because they're pretty good. But in my heart of hearts, I would probably pick the Lions over the Eagles. But anyways, back to the main question here. I am going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. As a matter of fact, though, is Zay Flowers going to play? He's still not game ready by early indications. Missing practice. Dude, that is so tough. This is by far, in my opinion, the toughest matchup to predict. So I'm not going to sit here and ramble about every single matchup. But man, Buffalo Bills at home versus the Ravens. You know what? I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens in this bracket. That's a coin flip to me. It really is a coin flip. And the Ravens on the road in Kansas City. Wow, this is tough. Because remember, in the first game of the season, the Chiefs beat the Ravens at home in Kansas City. That was a very close game. Again, this is another tough matchup. Just to kind of change it up, I'm going to go with the Ravens. It's probably silly to pick them, but I'm going to go Baltimore. Now we're moving on to the NFC. So wild card round, we're going to do a review and then break down the divisional rounds. So Eagles and Packers. The Eagles won pretty handily over the Packers, 22-10. Yeah, they're just a solid team right now. Eagles are very good. Commanders and Bucks. This was a matchup where I think I split Tampa Bay and Washington in all my brackets. I know I picked Washington in one and Tampa in the other in the brackets we did on camera in my last podcast. In that other tournament thing that I joined, I picked Tampa Bay, of course. So not ideal. But the Commanders did win. So go ahead there. That game was awesome. That was a very exciting, fun game, by the way. 23-20 Commanders. That doink field goal to get the win. I mean, that was a crazy, crazy game. I picked the Vikings, I think, in all my brackets. I think I picked the Vikings in all 4 brackets I made to beat the Rams. And I'm honestly not surprised the Rams won. I wasn't like 100% confident, but you know, they are my team. But also, I thought they would at least beat the Rams and then maybe lose the next round. But nah, the Rams just look like the better team, and my Vikings got to figure stuff out. So that game was just dreadful to watch as a Vikings fan. It was 27-9, not even close. There were some bad calls by the refs, but the Vikings did not lose because of that. Moving on to the divisional round and beyond for the NFC now. Detroit Lions and Washington Commanders. I'm going to do some mulling over some of these matchups where I really don't know, where I honestly do think it's a coin flip for some of them. But this is not one of those matchups. I think the Lions, coming off the bye week here, I think they're just the better team than the Commanders. Jane Daniels is awesome. Washington's a super fun team. And at this point, I would love if the Commanders won the Super Bowl. That'd be cool. But they got a rookie quarterback. They've been to the postseason. Jared Goff, on the other hand, has plenty of postseason experience. And the Lions, in my opinion, they're probably the best team in the league. I know they've had some injuries, but through it all, they're the 1 seed. So I'm picking the Lions. Eagles versus the Rams. This one is tough. I think this game is very close, and I think the Rams give the Eagles a tough battle, but I do think the Eagles win this game in Philadelphia. And the Rams are, again, not every team can win the Super Bowl, and I think the Rams are, even though I picked against them in all the brackets I made, like, for example, I picked the Commanders in, a bracket or two. I didn't pick the Rams in any, but I think the Rams are a better bet to run the table just because they have a lot of veterans. They have the quarterback who's done it before with Stafford. So they could make a run, but I think the Eagles are the better team. And I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this matchup has my pants feeling extra tight. We got the Detroit Lions at home versus the Eagles. I think the Lions just have a little bit more up their sleeve than the Eagles. If the Eagles win this game, I am not surprised in any way, shape, or form. The Eagles defense has been playing pretty well from my understanding. Their offense has looked good at times. It could be a little bit better. The Lions have been dealing with injuries, but I think in the NFC Championship game, the Lions take it. And that leads us to a Baltimore Ravens, Detroit Lions Super Bowl. So, like I said, last video, I had the Lions winning the Super Bowl over the Chiefs. And here I have the Lions versus the Ravens. So if I pick the Lions, that means I'll have 2 brackets where the Lions are winning it all. And if you take a look at that bracket I made, it's okay. It's fine. So how this bracket works is you get 1 point for picking the wild card round right, 2 points for the divisional round, 3 points for the championship, and I think 5 for the Super Bowl. Tiebreaker is points scored in the big game. And in this bracket, I picked the Chargers and Bucks incorrectly. I split between those 2 brackets, the Bucks and the Commanders winning. I wish I would have picked the Commanders in this one. So that is unfortunate because then I would only have 1 game wrong. But yeah, Ravens, Lions. I'm going to pick the Ravens. I think not only are they a good team, but I don't think a lot of people are picking them. And this is a pretty large pool in terms of the contest itself, the playoff contest, the bracket challenge. I mean, it's not like thousands. It's like some family member's friend is making it. But, there's going to be like dozens of brackets, I think. And you want to differentiate yourself. Do you know how many people are going to pick the Detroit Lions? A ton. And they very well might be right. And that's why I made a bracket with the Lions winning. But, man, it's tough. It's tough at this point. Baltimore Ravens, Super Bowl champions. They beat the Steelers. I have them beating the Bills and the Chiefs on the road and then winning the game against the Lions. If you look at playoff Super Bowl odds right now on DraftKings, the Detroit Lions are the favorites at plus 275. The Chiefs are second at plus 350. The Eagles are plus 400. The Ravens are plus 475. The Bills are plus 550. The Rams are plus 2,000. The Commanders are plus 2,800. And the Texans are plus 5,500, bro. 5,500. That's crazy. That's crazy. Am I making a mistake not picking the Chiefs? Be honest. Be honest. Am I? Now, remember this too. Before we sign off here, I did make this bracket as well. Don't forget. So, I felt silly after our last podcast not making a bracket with the Chiefs winning it, because that is just the most obvious thing that's going to happen. Chiefs over Lions. I have that bracket. Okay, so I have a bracket with the Chiefs over the Lions and the Lions over the Chiefs. So I think this is the most likely scenario, honestly, is the Lions making it and they play, the Bills, the Chiefs, or the Ravens. The only other team that I think can really give the Lions a run for their money is the Eagles. But, the Rams are a nice sleeper team, but I don't see them they beat Minnesota, fair to them, at home. But going on the road, beating Philly, going on the road, beating Detroit, and then beating, Mahomes, Josh Allen, or Lamar in the Super Bowl, like maybe, but I just don't know if they quite have the roster for that. Maybe they do. You never know. Football's a wonky sport, but put your money in on the Bills winning the Super Bowl now, because, I have picked the Chiefs. I have picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, and I have picked the Bills to make it and lose it. So the Bills are probably going to make the Super Bowl from the AFC and win it. Now that I did that, but it's hard to say, ladies and gentlemen. It's hard to say. So good luck to anyone else who's making a little playoff bracket. There are some really, really tough matchups in the playoffs here. I think the NFC is a little easier to predict. I mean, I thought the Chargers were a sure bet to beat the Texans. I thought the Chargers were going to easily win that game, and I was dead wrong. That was the only game I was really sure about, and I was wrong about it. So, I'm very sure that the Lions will beat the Commanders, but you just don't know. Rams Eagles is a toss-up. I'm pretty confident in the Eagles, but you just don't know. So, it's an exciting playoff here. And now that my Vikings are out of it, I can kind of watch it a little more stress-free and pretty much only worry about these brackets here, and hopefully, make some quiche. Because remember, if you place in these bracket challenges, the entry fee is pretty little, but if you place, you make, your money back, or if you win it, you really multiply your money. So it's not a bad idea to kind of not put all your eggs in one basket and kind of go with different outcomes. So Ravens, Lions, I don't know how many brackets are going to have that. I really don't. And the Ravens are the second highest odds in the AFC to make the Super Bowl. The biggest test, I think, is going to be going into Arrowhead and taking down the Chiefs and Andy Reid and Mahomes. Like, it's just a matter of, the Chiefs have not looked the part this year of dominant Super Bowl champions, but they were still the 1 seed. They're still coming off back-to-back titles. They still have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. The Super Bowl still goes through Arrowhead. And it's just one of those things where, are people sleeping on them? That's the real question. Because, I did a bracket. I in the last podcast that we did together, I was hosting that bracket challenge, and I don't think anyone picked the Chiefs to win. If they did, it was like 1 or 2 maybe. Like, no one's really, like, super in, So it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I wonder if I can see. Let's see. Before we go, I'm gonna pull up. So I'm in a bracket. Here we go. I'm in a bracket challenge with 35 people. That ESPN one that I showed you, where I have the Chiefs winning. There's 35 people in that bracket. Honestly, quite a few people pick the Chiefs in this one. So you got me. Other than me, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 35. 8 out of 35 pick the Chiefs. So they got a little more love in that one. So anyways, I'm done rambling about the playoffs. Make sure to drop a like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff, wherever you're watching, wherever you're enjoying, if you are able to. And good luck if you have your own playoff bracket challenges. If your team is in the postseason, good luck, especially if I pick them to win their game in my bracket. And I will see you guys in the next episode. I almost choked on my own words there. See you in the next episode. Peace and love. Take care.